Hey Goobs, it's me Jiv, aka Lid for recommended today for some apparent reason. So, in today's video, we're going to look at a very fun and interesting topic about the furry fandom today, and that is, why do furries have unique expressions? And to be honest, as someone who is a furry and has been in a few communities, this is the only one community that I've been in that has these unique expressions. And I know there's some others out there that do have unique expressions, but I feel like the furries are very predominantly known for this. Probably same goes with the anime fandom as well, or community, or whatever it is. But it's between those two that definitely have unique expressions, such as, unfortunately, that's one. I'm not gonna say that ever again, by the way. No matter how much you pay me, I'm not saying it ever again. But other expressions such as free, QWQ, TWT, and many more definitely do exist within this fandom. But what do they mean, and how do they get seen across towards other furries? So let's dive into that and let's have a look. Okay, so obviously, these unique expressions are definitely, emotions in terms of, like emoticons and other things like that. Technically, the best way to see it is just like stickers, I guess. But for those that don't know what I'm on about, if you're not a part of the furry fandom, and if you don't know what I mean by that, it's pretty much just like a way of saying an emoji, I guess. Now, the whole reason why they even have this is very unique and very cute, I guess. It mostly comes down to the community culture and just, emotional expression and just other things on top of that. It's more of just a silly little thing that furries do, just for more of, funny little unique interactions. To make the message, I guess you'd say, more stand out, but it's not really, it's just a little funny little thing. Now, to be honest, I can definitely see how it gets used, because it is used in many situations, like TWT being more of like, well, frustrated, annoyed, or like really just stressed out or worn out. Has something like :3 is just like a little cutesy little emoticon, and the two dashes up are like more like, happy little face. And if you want to be even more happy, then -W dash, it's also another one that we could use to make it look more happy. And it's also really known that the one of the more unique ones, I guess. I will tell you if they're all unique, but the one that has like the right dash W and is it right dash? I don't know. I'm putting it on the screen anyway. Which is, this one is more of like, well, just more of like an excited, blushing, or something like that. Oh, speaking of, there is also a blushing emoticon as well. So beware. But like I said before, these sort of expressions are in other fandoms, but I feel like, probably because I'm biased, I feel like it's more predominantly known that these expressions merely come out of the furry community now, especially to the wide range of the magnitude of how many furries use these sort of emoticons. They use them very often, by the way. I speak to a few furries now since I've got a bit back into the community, and they're like fucking everywhere, which is something that is very unique, and in fact is pretty cool. I actually think it's a really fun way as well of expressing yourself and other things like that. But however though, why do furries use these sort of expressions? Because I don't think I've answered this, even though it's quite blatantly obvious to why. It's something that I feel, but because I feel it's more of a way to express your persona as a whole, or to act cute. Now, to be honest, this kind of does make sense when you think about it, because, as you become a furry, you have a persona, and you want to act like that persona, I guess. And that comes down to many factors and stuff, honestly it does. But at the same time, it's definitely something that's very interesting. Because throughout, it's technically seen as, I guess you'd say, a roleplay, doing these little emoticons and stuff like that. It's really interesting, and I think it's really cool. And also to the fact that it's definitely a way to act cute is probably a bit more appealing for possibly non-furs or people that want to be furries as well, leading to more of a cool little factor that probably boosts people joining this fandom, especially ones that want to seem more as cute as well, which I think is very cool, by the way. And I personally think it's a very cute, creative, and possibly a spread of positivity of a way to how, people can express themselves online. which I think is very, very cool and a very, very fun feature. And in fact, I think should be more or less, seen to be more as that, just to be more of an expression and just to be more as a little cutie wooty thing, which I think is something that it's trying to present itself as when you make these expressions. But however, though, I do have a second point of view to why also people use these sort of expressions. Well, not a point of view, but a second reason to why people might use these sort of expressions. So I just feel like it has a bit more of a deeper meaning. Now, I don't want to be a tinfoil conspiracy hat theory guy, but I feel like people in the furry fandom use these sort of expressions possibly because they have a very, very wide line of acceptance in the fandom. But they also have I think from my scene of knowledge as well, including myself, I am a part of this by the way, of a neurodivergent side of the fandom. And I feel like what it's supposed to mainly represent, and not mainly, I won't say mainly, but I think what it's trying to mostly represent is how autistic people such as myself can understand the message a bit more clearly. Which I think is so beautiful and wonderful for this sort of thing. And even if it's not, it definitely impacts from that, which is something that is probably why you see a lot of autistic people actually join the fandom, such as myself. Which I think is very, very cool, and in fact is, really sweet. And to be honest, as someone who definitely is, I think it's more or less boost my morality in the fandom and enjoying it a lot more, because I'm starting to feel a lot more warmth with being in this community, getting them sort of messages pretty often. I think they're very, very, cute. Anyways, this is the end of the video. I genuinely hope you enjoyed this video as well. If you've noticed there's a few changes, such as, I haven't really changed my expression much, but if you guys are really, really amazing goobs from possibly my last video or many of the previous videos, you've noticed this is my PNG tuber. Yes, I put a PNG tuber into the video. That's pretty cool. But I mostly want to just add this segment part of the video to explain why, and that is because I'm going to upgrade my content a little bit in the terms of having a PNG tuber model instead of the basic still models that you've been seeing from most of my videos, because I feel like having this is a lot more animated compared to my previous videos where they were just stills and stuff. Obviously, there's been clearly editing and stuff. Hope to God, anyway. I'm not editing this right now, not yet, anyway. But to make it more interactive. But the whole reason why I'm doing this is just because I want to make my videos stand out a little bit more compared to my previous videos where they were just basic stills. So I do hope you enjoyed this change, and I'm also sorry there's not been any other emoticons as well. But don't worry, they will be in the future. Just give it time, please, I beg. I can only work so hard. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.